Welcome to Talkin Tigers. I'm Rachel Whittaker. As we continue LSU-Mississippi State week, the Bulldogs have moved into the top 25 with LSU. And I'm joined now by Bulldogs beat writer Michael Bonner of the Clarion-Ledger. Michael, good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So Mississippi State, of course, number 25 in the country. So how do they plan to attack number 14 LSU's offense and Brandon Harris, who's chomping at the bit to redeem himself after a tough freshman year, to say the least?
Yeah, Mississippi State is basically going to focus on what they do best in order to try to stop LSU, because they don't have really any game tape of LSU this season because the Tigers their game was canceled last week. So really what the coaches and players have said is they're going to look to the past. They play LSU every year. They know overall what the Tigers want to do, but in reality, I think this game, it's Mississippi State focusing on what they need to do. The Bulldogs weren't happy with how they played against Southern Miss in their season opener, and they want to fix a few things. And really they said that the conference opener for them really sets up the rest of the season. It almost dictates how they'll play the rest of the year. So they want to get a clean game, as Dan Mullen called it, no turnovers, no bad penalties, and really try to set the tone going forward for this season.
And speaking of quarterbacks, we saw far less running than passing from senior Dak Prescott, who grew up very close to Brandon Harris, about 10-15 miles away. Now, he ran just 8 times for 72 yards, so could that have been by design to conceal anything for LSU, or just the way that Southern Miss game unfolded?
I think a little bit of both. I don't think the game against Southern Miss, there wasn't opportunities or a necessity for Dak Prescott to run. I actually asked Dan Mullen and Dak Prescott about that on Monday, or Tuesday rather, and they said yes and no. They're trying to protect the quarterback. Obviously, there's no need for him to take hits that aren't needed in these games. Mississippi State was ahead of Southern Miss the majority of the second half and really didn't need Dak Prescott to do crazy Dak Prescott things. They didn't need him to run the ball. But in crunch situations, when they needed him, in goal line situations, they did hand him the ball. So I think against LSU in the SEC, you'll see a lot more Dak Prescott running the ball.
Right, when Mississippi State pulled away later in the game, they didn't need him, like you said, to work as much magic with his feet that LSU saw last season for sure. And I was noticing too that his 2 passing touchdowns last weekend gave him the all-time lead in school history with 43, so something worth noting for fans out there. And finally, Michael, the game is a late kickoff, 8:15, after Mississippi State played a 9 o'clock game against Southern Miss. I know Dan Mullen wasn't too happy about that this summer. Is that going to be any kind of challenge in SEC play?
I think the 8:15 start makes a little bit more sense than a 9 p.m. start against Southern Miss, but certainly Dan Mullen didn't hold back during the offseason when he said the NCAA doesn't allow Mississippi State to work out after midnight, and they actually had this traditional midnight lift they always did at midnight, and the NCAA said you can't do that anymore. So I think it was a little bit of that. Dan Mullen was trying to get back at the NCAA, just saying, hey, you know what, you didn't let us do our tradition, and now you're going to make us play after midnight, so what's the deal here? So I think it was probably just a little jab at the NCAA, nothing mean-spirited, but just saying, hey, remember that time when you didn't let us do it? Now you want us to play at midnight? Right,
definitely. LSU knows about waiting till late in the night to figure out fate of their games, as they did against McNeese State. So, but that's behind the Tigers, and now it's all about the Bulldogs. And Les Miles and LSU better be ready for a lot of cowbells, as the Mississippi State, I understand, is going to try and set a world record for the largest contingent of cowbell ringers at one time. So, Michael, I know you're familiar with all that, but thanks so much for the time.
Thank you for having me.
And be sure to join us again Thursday, everyone, when we'll hear from Les Miles. Thanks for watching.